Wrestling from ESPN Milwaukee, I'm Gabe Nudge. With me, as always, from ESPN West Palm, Brian Rowitz. And you can catch him on ESPN 1000 in Chicago. He is Jonathan Hood. Gentlemen, a lot of things to dive into. Brian and I were just talking, it's still hard to believe that the Royal Rumble is less than 2 weeks away at this point. It is closing in on us fast. Yep. And there are a lot of things to dive into in the world of professional wrestling. And where we start is a guy who keeps interrupting people who try to cut promos, and that is Drew McIntyre. A lot have been made over the last year of Cody Rhodes' story. Since November, a lot has been made of CM Punk's story. But with Drew McIntyre continuously putting himself in this main event picture on Monday Night Raw, how does Drew McIntyre's story come to a conclusion?
He retires and goes to the WWE Hall of Fame.
Oh,
I mean,
wow, that's way off in the future.
Also, is he a Hall of Famer or is he a Hall of Really Great?
It's a WWE.
Oh, of course he is.
Is he? Okay.
No, he's a Hall of Famer. Have you seen some of the people they put in there?
That's fair. Yes, good point.
It's a WWE. We're not talking about the NFL or the NBA. I mean, it's a WWE Hall of Fame. So at some point he'll be there because he's put a lot of time in. His story ends as
well. I mean, if you're a WWE champ, like just let's get it out of the way. If you're a former WWE champion, you're in the WWE Hall of Fame. Like that's just full stop.
I think maybe now
that we go through the list. Now it's Triple H's Hall of Fame. Now it might be different.
Yeah, Triple H is in charge now, so I would say yes. Under Vince, no.
Yes.
Under Vince, no. But Gabe, the way the story ends is that he's still going to be a nice hand for the WWE, and he might win a championship here or there. But I mean, if you're talking about like in this cycle, no, he's just the stick in the beehive right now, bro. Is he just a guy that just complains a lot? It started here at GKW. His complaint started here on this show, and then he became a personality. It's all because of Browitz, because he's the guy like the Oprah Winfrey of this show. he just makes people cry and complain.
Check out the page. It's there. We'll reshare it.
You giving away cars too, Browitz?
Maybe. You never know. But like you talk about who's he facing at Mania then? It was a random triple threat IC title match last year, which was a damn good match. Who's he facing?
I mean, there's a chance. I mean, I guess we'll get to this, I guess, way later in the show in news and notes. If this Seth Rollins injury is serious enough, like could he be kind of the place mark champion until we get to WrestleMania? Could he be one that ends up carrying that heavyweight championship because you want Cody Rhodes or CM Punk or one of those people to get the big moment at Mania, and he carries that into WrestleMania?
Do they need their world champion on TV every week? Is that what you're getting at?
It'd be nice to have one.
Okay.
Yes, a champion of some distinction doing something. Yes. You know, the Drew McIntyre thing is interesting, guys, because it's like, okay, so your role is to complain. I think that what we're looking for, is there a payoff to the complaints?
Right. It doesn't feel like it. It feels like he's taking a pin at Mania.
I mean, he's Scottish Nakamura at this point, is he not?
As sad as that is to say out loud, like you're not wrong. He's just
I want that t-shirt printed though.
I mean,
maybe we go Drew versus Nakamura. Like one of them can win. Then
no double count out. That ends in a double count out, 100%.
I'm just saying, like Drew McIntyre is a guy that likes to complain, just like Nakamura complains. You know, about Cody, looking for Cody and out trying to fight people. Like, okay, but it doesn't. There's no payoff there. So same thing, because there's so many other wrestlers ahead of McIntyre. He does have a beef, but it's not like he's Money in the Bank. It's not like he's in a hot feud to be able to get to the championship. So what is his role here besides just doing a good promo every week?
Yeah, I mean, he is interesting right now. Like, I'd say he's more interesting than Cody and maybe even Punk at this point with what he's doing every week with the promos he's cutting. The path to Mania for me with him sort of feels like he gets fed to Cody. Like you talk about the Nakamura thing, like he goes that route. If Cody's not fighting for the title, like, because you need a spot for him also, maybe it's him and Drew in a big spot. And Drew ultimately eats that pin also.
Yeah, I was thinking, I guess, it like him versus, kind of circling back and, doing him versus Damian Priest, because he'd probably need
Sure.
some sort of, Priests, kind of heat up Damian a little bit since he is senior Money in the Bank. He beats Drew, and then he gets a little momentum coming out of WrestleMania, so he feels more dangerous because right now he's just kind of a punchline.
Will you put the briefcase on the line?
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, put the briefcase on the line, do something like that. Priest retains and still has it. And then now you have attention on the briefcase for the next couple of months or even just the next couple of weeks, depending upon how quickly they want him to cash that in, because, that year is going to come up sooner than you think.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, he'll have some sort of prominent-ish spot. I mean, kind of similar to last year, where he was in that IC triple threat, which was, by the way, widely considered one of the best matches in WWE all of last year. So it's not like he was in a bad spot. But yeah, in terms of him being a WWE champion again, he's pretty far back, and it would have to take something to me like a Seth Rollins injury where, he steps up and becomes the Jon Moxley of Monday Night Raw. Like, oh, well, we need someone. Here you go. Take the ball and run with it for the next 2 months.
We don't talk about this often on the show. And you should know better than anybody, Gabe, because this is your favorite event. It's funny. We come to find out that Gabe and Michael Cole are the same favorite events in WWE. Could you imagine?
Me and Cole, baby.
Could you imagine Cole saying that out loud? That would never happen under Vince.
No.
My favorite event of the year, Russ, is the Royal Rumble. I heard that Monday. I said, wow.
Yeah.
There's WrestleMania, but I said, it reminded me, it rang the bell because it reminded me of Gabe immediately. I'm like, well, Gabe and Cole, the same event they love, Royal Rumble, even though they've got WrestleMania right here. I guess there's a such thing, guys, as heating up people for the Rumble. Not just the matches, not just who could win it, but that sounds like they're heating McIntyre up for the Rumble. He might be in the Final Four. He might be in the Final Six, because that's the only spot. There's nothing else for McIntyre. I mean, he's not going to beat Seth Rollins anytime soon. Not in the Roman sweepstakes. Not taking on Gunther, I don't think, because that's for Brock Lesnar, I think. So what is there?
Well, I guess sort of off that line, like if Gunther goes a different route, do you do Drew and Brock?
And then Gunther takes on.
I don't know. Then it's odd man out there.
Yeah. No.
Is there a name we're missing, like sort of that WrestleMania just one-off appearance that like they come out and like step up to Drew and Drew gets to beat them? Like maybe not in Austin, but someone along those lines. I'd be okay with that.
I mean, Cena, again, that you build that up, and Cena was in the news today, and I can't remember where he did the interview, talking about how, he's thinking about wrapping up his time in WWE. Hasn't won a single match and God knows how long. Would be hilarious if he beat Drew and ended that, would be a little funny. But yeah, I mean, you could do something like that. I think depending upon what happens with the tag team championships, if Priest and Finn are the tag champs heading into Mania, then you probably can't do Drew McIntyre unless McIntyre somehow picks up a friend in the next 2.5 months and goes for the tag titles.
This whole thing with Cody is it's not contrived, but it's kind of sad. When they laid out, when it's Cody and McIntyre in the ring together, and it's like, hey, remember, we were the dashing ones. Nope.
No, they're not at all.
Nope, neither the audience. The audience
funny,
is like,
funny you should mention that. No, definitely don't.
Like,
I wonder if Cody did, actually. He's like, oh, yeah, you, me, totally.
I thought about that, and I'm like, I think I'm a pretty good wrestling nerd. Nope, Dark Ages. Don't remember. That was some shitty time with Cody Rhodes as dashing Cody Rhodes, mustache, and all that. Like, nope. Actually, I don't remember that at all.
But by the way, Cody looks more like that Cody with the mustache and mask than Drew McIntyre looks like that version of Drew McIntyre.
Yes.
Like when you go back and see Drew McIntyre in 3-man band like era, he looks like a completely different person.
Holy cow. Jeez, so bad. Again, that era was horrible.
Yes.
So they bring it up like, hey, remember how popular? No, I don't remember that. And so thank you for being contrived by bringing this up. So we'll get that match. Cool. But then McIntyre will be looking up at the lights, and then what's next for Drew? And it's the thing. We go back to Clash of the Castle. I mean, we really thought that this was going to be Drew's time because he's never been hotter in WWE. And then he loses. And then it's kind of like, well, yes, his character is turned into a heel, but then what? So right now you have a nice character heel right now, and that's where he stands.
And that's
Drew versus Jinder. You bring in Heath Slater as the special guest referee. Who says no?
There you go.
Good to be working with Vince.
No.
It's
Yeah.
be good.
Apparently, J Hood says no.
Good to be working with Vince McMahon this evening. God damn, remember? No, I don't.
And that's the thing with the Rumble. Like, him final two with Cody and or Punk, like, that could work. But, like, that feels like a letdown. Like, if we don't get Cody and Punk as the final two, it sort of feels like a letdown. So I feel like they don't go that route. Like, yes, final
because
four, but that's it.
With Cody or Punk, you don't know which one is actually winning. If Drew is in there as the final two, then you know the other one's winning because Drew's not winning the Royal Rumble.
And the other part, I don't know, maybe we're looking into it too much. There's been rumors about his contract status. He's been sort of wishy-washy on it. Are they sort of throwing in the towel saying, hey, this guy's not re-signing here. We'll send him out in a good way, but we're not sending him out on top. Like, is it as simple as that?
Possible, but, like, it's also, like, I understand he doesn't have a championship belt, but it's almost like the Sami Zayn spot, you know, when before Sami got hurt. Like, Sami never won the championship, but the dude was in multiple segments throughout the course of the evening. Like, he was leading show, he was closing out the show, would have a segment in the middle of the show. Like, Drew McIntyre's in a really prominent spot right now on Monday Night Raw. He is getting a ton of TV time, even though he doesn't hold a championship.
Yeah, that's fair. He's there, but, like, there seems to be sort of no one. Like, I feel like he's going to be thrown in Elimination Chamber somehow. Not going to win that also. Like, it's all just sort of like, oh, eventually he has to win something for us to continue to care about him.
That is correct. And so I think that you nailed it, bro. What a great time for him to go out. If anybody needs to be a hot independent free agent, I would say it's Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
And I know that he's already been there before and done that, but he came to WWE. He came to do what he did. He was the World Heavyweight Champion. He got it. He got the championship. Pandemic, but he got the championship anyway. And then so, I mean, if you got nothing else for him, and I know that sounds crazy, like creative's got nothing for Drew McIntyre. I'm just saying, like, if he's not in the title picture and if he's just in the middle, that's wasting his time. I'd rather see him in my local indie, you know, being able to help the business that way than just kind of spinning his wheels as a complainer in the WWE.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I mean, I think we all know that a man that size is not going to do well in AEW, right? Like, they're not going to. So going the Matt Cardona independent route might be the best thing to do for Drew if WWE doesn't re-sign him.
Yeah, and I think we're starting to see that sort of indie pop again. Like, there were reports this week that Ali is boosting ticket sales significantly for some of the shows he's watching. And no offense to Ali, but he's nowhere near Drew's level. Like, Drew on indies would do some numbers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because the dude, especially for a big guy, that dude can go.
Yep.
Like, he could put on a hell of a show in the indies.
I may or may not have a ticket to see Mustafa Ali in Chicago.
There you go.
I may or may not have a ticket in the first Friday in March to see Mustafa Ali.
You're not going to Toronto to see him and Jack Cartwheel tonight? Because it's tempting.
If the snow wasn't coming,
all right.
You know, if the snow wasn't coming, Gabe and I would be on a plane together. We would be going to see Jack Cartwheel. We would go together. That's the problem, though. You know, one of these shows we'll talk about guys that probably should need a little fresh start. You know, I told you guys last year, I think 2024 is going to be a hell of a year for wrestling. It already started. It's already started with the free agency, which we'll get into. But Drew McIntyre could use that. If he's not going to be with WWE, he'll be fine on the indies if that's where he's going.
All right, I keep bringing it back up. So one last quick question before we move on. Jinder Mahal, WWE Hall of Famer. Former champ. Like, former champ for 6 months. He was champ for like half of a year.
Left. It was that long.
It was that long.
God, WWE was so bad. Like, for everyone that bitches in this tribalism, like, think back to when WWE was the only product on TV, and that's what we got. We got Jinder as a champion. We got celebrity guest hosts. Like, this is good. Stop your complaining. It's nice to have options on wrestling TV nowadays.
Wow. I mean, that's strong because you're absolutely right. It's absolutely right. It's almost like WWE's just looking at their watch treading time. They're just kind of like, when's the Rumble? All right, Jinder, come on in. All right, let's just kind of BS around until we get to the Rumble. Like,
this was a long build for them. Like there was no December pay-per-view. So this was a long time of them just like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Like, all right, we made it. Let's go.
Nothing wrong with Jinder. It just kind of comes out of left field. He's connected to The Rock now. He's like heated up. We haven't seen him for a long time, and now he's a top contender. Just kind of strange.
It was, but it was kind of, hey, go out and get insulted by The Rock, and your payoff is we'll give you, you get to main event Raw the next week. That's what it just kind of seemed like hey, you have to do this, but then we're going to give you this opportunity. It just kind of makes a little
say no to that at all.
Yeah, right. A lot of other things going on in the world of professional wrestling. We call it our 3 count, the other top 3 stories. Brian, what do we have at number 1?
Last night, AEW Dynamite, the 24-year-old cold-hearted handsome devil himself, Hook, in the main event with Samoa Joe for the AEW World title. So let's talk young wrestlers. Which young wrestler would you currently build a company around?
So when we say young, like where are we starting? Is it 30 and under?
Yeah,
under 30. All right, that's what I was hoping, because I made a list of all the champions in AEW, ROH, WWE, NXT, and the number of champions that are under 30 are very few and far between, my friends. It's like the women's divisions have a lot of talent under 30, which is exciting. On the men's side, like the NXT champion, like Dragunov, is 30. Like it's unbelievable. Like that, and that's the developmental brand. It seems like long gone are the days of having these 20-some-year-old, wrestlers in your company. There are a couple sprinkled in, clearly. WWE doesn't have a ton. Basically, it's on the main roster. It's Austin Theory and is it Dom? Are those the 2?
Yeah, that's it. The Rumble. We talk about the Rumble. That Fatal 4-Way. They're all over 40, right?
Except for Roman.
Okay,
so Roman's 38.
All right.
Roman's 38.
AJ's over 40. Randy's over 40.
AJ's like 47.
Yeah,
which,
LA Knight's
by the way, I looked that up today, because I also looked that up. Like, AJ coming back that shredded at 47 is impressive. Like, that's damn impressive. They're all over 40.
Apparently, the bathroom doors are closed for the piss test. And Carmelo Hayes is 29. So
Hayes is 29. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, so Roman at 38 is the only one under 40, and he's the young guy in that match. So that shows that the youth over in the WWE side.
Yeah.
Like the only male champion under 27 in the WWE on the main roster, or under 30, is Logan Paul. Like that's the only under 30 champ, because Seth is 37, Roman's 38, Gunther's 36, Finn and Priest are both over 40. And even like the women's tag champs, and on the women's side, Io's 33, Katana Chance is 33, Caden Carter's 35, and Io's 33. But it's Rhea's 27, so it's an older. So this is going to probably be more of an AEW type conversation. But I think the number 1 pick, if we were to do this, is still MJF.
Yeah, well, let's just lay this out as far as the WWE is concerned. And this is why AEW and WWE are different. In the WWE, a lot of those wrestlers just languish in the system, right? Even before they get on before they even get on TV and NXT, they're just in the system. And so they might be there since their mid-20s and don't get on TV for another 3-5 years, or get to NXT, and then before they make their main roster, they're in their 30s, banged up and, going through the growing pains. And then on the other side of that, WWE, once upon a time, was going for the best indie talent. That indie talent that was on the indies for 5 to 10 years. Kevin Owens, late. I'll give you an example. AJ Styles, so many others. Like, oh yeah, you know what? This guy from the indies is really good. Gargano, Ciampa, all those guys, right? We saw them in the indies, but it took them a while to get to the main roster for them to be able to get to WWE. So, you named 2 of them on the men's side for me. It starts with MJF. I could start my company with Logan Paul. Could you imagine? Logan Paul as not my centerpiece, number 1 guy, make him champion, got the gift of gab. He wrestles as smooth as the modern wrestler today, and he doesn't have to be on TV all the time. Logan Paul. And then my third choice was Emmanuel Morales.
Who's that now?
El Vikingo.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
So who's 26? Yep. So you think, well, he's 5'7". It's like, no. Today fans want action, right?
Yep.
Well, that guy gives you action. You go with El Vikingo. He's 26. You lock him into on a contract and say, you know what? I know you're 5'7", but you're my Mysterio. That's it. That's who you are. We're gonna go with you.
By the way, Bad Bunny also under 30. I don't know if we're counting him
okay.
for the WWE. He is 29 years old.
You can't do that. you can't do that.
Well, I mean, at this point, I mean, have you seen Roman's schedule? I think he could wrestle Roman's schedule.
He might wrestle more than Roman in 24.
On the women's side, I went Rhea Ripley. You already named Ripley.
Yeah.
Tony Storm, even though she's 55 on AEW, she's really 27.
She's 28 years old, man. Yeah. Like I was expecting her to be in her 30s when I looked that up today. I was shocked to see she was 28.
The only under 30 that threatens to punch people in the box. So.
Which is amazing. It's never been said on a wrestling show before. Never.
Renee's facial expression when that happened, and she just looks over at Perazo like, wait, did she actually just say what I think she just said? Is this really happening on live television right now?
She also will not share where she once got a Perazo. She wasn't going to share that with everyone last night. She's the gift that keeps on giving.
She's just so wonderful. God,
she's
just a delight to have her on TV. I mean, poor Ian Riccaboni. He's not Tony Schiavone, and he's. It's amazing. You look so much younger. You're young.
Clean shaven. Yeah.
Got rid of the earring. Like the earring joke, just slayed me. Like the earring joke killed me when I watched that.
How's she doing this with a straight face? Well, because she's a character. That's why she's a character.
Again, it's either her. Again, who was better this week? Her or Truth?
I mean, again, it's very difficult.
I know. Truth making money for Judgment Day.
Handing out stacks of money. This is just his own
Did
T-shirt.
you guys see? So I don't know where Truth lives, but I saw the tweet. Like his son is a junior, senior in high school, got over 1,000 points in his high school basketball career. And the coach tweeted out a picture of R-Truth with his son. And he was like, oh, we were super excited to have Ron Killings, R-Truth of the Judgment Day, here in attendance. He mentioned that R-Truth was a part of the Judgment Day. The coach is in on the bit. It was just, everything around Truth right now is fantastic. Same thing. I mean, at this point, R-Truth could play under 30, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Even though he's 50.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. So it's Rhea Ripley, Tony Storm, Willow Nightingale. Willow Nightingale's 29.
Yeah, I think those are all good ones. Some others I could throw in there, and you sort of mentioned, but Carmelo Hayes. I don't watch him consistently, but every time I watch NXT, I leave saying, I want to watch more Carmelo Hayes. I hope he gets that push soon. I hope we see him on a big stage. I think he's someone you could build around. And then sort of on the line, but he'll be 31 in May, Ospreay. Does that count? He's currently 30.
Well, you're right there, man. You're right there. Well, I'll allow it.
Okay.
I'll allow it. Yeah.
He's got some kids also. You never know. Bruv.
He does, bruv. He does.
Well, he doesn't have kids. His significant other has kids.
Okay. So
he's got stepkids.
Right.
He's got stepkids. We will allow it. Will Ospreay wrestle a TV match? If you need 6 minutes, I need you in and out in 6 minutes. Next thing you know, it's 25 minutes classic. I mean, it's just can he do that for you? Can he do a clean promo?
Never seen it.
Yeah.
And the other one, I don't know if you put it on there after last night. Can Hook be on the list?
Hook. Look, I'm a Hook stan. I have been a Hook stan for a number of years here. When we did our draft last year, Hook was my young guy that I'm this is the guy I want to stash away. This is the guy I want to develop. And I thought Hook, again, it was a quick, short build, but I think he, the promo that they cut for him when he's in the snow, I think that was on Collision that they aired that, to kind of build it up. I thought he nailed that. There's just something about him. He's got the charisma. And I thought he delivered last night. I thought he really stepped up to the plate and did what he needed to do. And he's only 24. He's just going to continue to grow and continue to develop. I'm not saying put the world championship on him next week, but in a year or two, that guy's going to be ready. I mean, MJF was world champion for basically, at 26. So give Hook 2 more years. You're telling me he can't get to that level? I think he can. I think now he certainly has some work to do in terms of the promos and giving him a live microphone. I think the tape stuff has been all right, but you could also probably do a thing where you just make his dad the manager, have his dad be the mouthpiece, and the cold-hearted, handsome devil. I think that guy's going to be over. I mean, the crowd was into him last night.
Yep.
Okay, before we go into it further, could you explain to me what the internet wrestling community was pissed about? I saw a lot. Did you guys read any of this? I mean, a lot of reaction of people not happy about that match, and I was thinking, like, what did I miss? Like, Samoa Joe was going to go over one.
Yep.
Two, I know that Hook has this Road Warrior Hawk thing where he doesn't sell anything. You know, the one count. You know, I think that was wild, but I mean, it was kind of part of the match. And Taz, to his credit, kept saying that's Hook. He's not going to quit. He's not going to quit. He's not going to quit. So what was the uproar? I don't know. I know the internet wrestling community gets mad at everything, but I was looking at like, well, I was like, well, what's the problem with this match? Like, Samoa Joe got over, Hook got over, even in a loss.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed the match. That's what the match needed to be. I mean, it was fairly close to a squash match because, well, I mean, Hook, even though he was 29-1 going into that match, like, he's just not on the same level as Joe. But I thought he acquitted himself nicely. Comes out with the hot offense, comes out with the punches. Joe takes over, hits him a couple times, you know, with some pretty tough spots on the outside.
Mm-hmm. R.I.P. to that table.
Yeah, thinking about that table and how he went through there. That was tough. But, like, then he, you know, has that flurry of offense where he had been trying to do the T-bone suplex the entire night, pulls it off, and then ultimately falls to, you know, the Kikina clutch. Like, I thought everybody ended up coming away winners last night because, again, you got that brief moment where you're like, oh, here comes Hook, and the crowd was into it, and then Joe squashes it right away because you still need Joe to look strong as a champion in his first defense of the match. I thought that was as good of a, you know, main event match with those two that you could have possibly had.
Completely agree. I think everyone looked good. Like, we've seen AEW drop the ball and trying to make everyone happy. I think back to the pay-per-view, like the Dustin and Swerve match. Like, that should have been a squash. Like, that was one of those matches where, like, Dustin went way too long with Swerve. He was banged up. Shouldn't have been that. Last night, it was tight. It was short. Hook got some things in. Hook comes out looking like a star, and Joe still looks like a badass. Like, it accomplished everything. Like, I loved that main event last night.
Yeah, I think that it was perfect. Now, let me just say this. That whole thing with the with that table spot, a little reckless. Now,
I thought that was the end of the match. I thought they were going to have to stop it. Like, the way he took it on his head and neck, I was like, oh, we might have called it a night here.
Yeah, Joe's used to taking on bigger guys, and you know how scrawny that Hook is, and he just like a rag doll, just ragdolled him into the table. I was a little surprised that match continued because I'm thinking immediately concussion.
Yep.
Well, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but I certainly noticed then when he did the power bomb onto the apron. Like, usually when you do the power bomb on the apron, you kind of catch the corner mid-back. You think of the way that Kevin Owens has kind of delivered it, you know, when he does the power bomb on the apron. Joe was very, you know, like, he made sure Hook's back and everything was up on top. Like, he made sure he got him flat on the apron for that power bomb because I think of how rough that table spot was.
So excited because Joe came across like a badass because he is a badass.
Yes,
exactly.
That's
exactly what that match needed to be. And Hook's going to have momentum coming out of that. I would throw Hook on there. Some other names that I've got written down that are under 30. You have Dom. You have Nick Wayne. Takeshita's 28.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think those are all valuable pieces. I don't know if those are pieces you ever build your company around.
Dom, I would say, is the closest of those three.
To build a company around?
Yeah.
That guy's going to be a babyface in 12 months or less.
Sure, but, like, the stuff he's doing, the stuff in the ring has gotten so much better. Like, the guy works right now.
Also, it's crazy because Rhea right now might be the most over babyface. And her on-screen boyfriend is, like, the most booed heel.
Right.
It's insane. Like, that crowd, like, on Monday, they refused to boo Rhea Ripley when she came out to cut her promo.
Yeah.
No, they're chanting mommy. They're doing everything.
Yeah, she's over. Yeah, and she has been. And she is, without question, I would agree with you, sir. I would say that, without question, that out of all the women that we see, man, she's number one. That's the reason why she was on that poll. Number one women wrestler going right now, Rhea Ripley. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's completely agree there. What do we got at number 2 this week, Brian?
All right, Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio says he went to LA this week to tape interviews with Netflix for the Vince McMahon documentary. He adds the documentary will be out sooner than you think, and Vince has been interviewed for it. Will we learn anything new from the Vince documentary?
I can't imagine if Vince is being interviewed for it. Like, to me, Vince is going to ask, hey, what's all going to be included in this before he sits down for an interview? Right. And I guess maybe the producer is going to be like, oh, we might cover this and this. And maybe they lie to him about everything that's going to be
Meltzer
covered.
says the ending's basically been changed. Like, it was been worked on for years and they've added everything to now add to the ending.
Yeah, but again, this is all stuff we know, right? Like, I don't think there's going to be any like juicy bombshell that they're uncovering about Vince McMahon at this point. Now, it's going to be interesting, I think. And the other thing Meltzer said is that it's going to be out sooner than you think. So I'm really curious to see how this lays out and how it all lays out in one, documentary, unlike what they did for Dark Side of the Ring. And, I don't even know. It was basically a best of show when they did their Vince McMahon doc.
Don't start with that again. Don't start with that.
Well, that's the only Vince doc we have to go off of right now.
Don't you start with that patchwork nonsense documentary they suckered us all in to watch. Uh-huh. Like, there's nothing new here. It's Vince Russo talking again.
And in the corner, it was from Dark Side of the Ring, whatever episode it was. It was constantly in the corner of every clip in that show.
Meltzer said that Vince is part of this documentary.
That's what he says, that he was interviewed also.
Now, I wonder, was the interview with Vince pre-scandal?
Right.
Because it can't
be anything. Does he have a mustache in the interview?
I would say no. I would say that
no.
I think this is pre-scandal. And if Vince signed off on it, then whatever else they add on to that documentary, it's what they add on. Right? Because all of it is just, I'm sure, talking about his dad, how he bought the company from his dad, and be able to parlay that money into WrestleMania 1 and the behemoth that is WrestleMania and the WWE and going global and all that kind of stuff. And I think it probably ends there because Vince is not going to go deep into steroid trial, sexual misconduct, all that kind of stuff. I think if Vince is in it, it's about how good the company is. But if Netflix wants to continue to talk about all the other stuff, go right ahead. But I don't think it's going to be Vince on the record saying anything with a mustache.
And that's the thing. Like, I'm curious to see who that sort of expert is talking about that stuff. Like, Meltzer can talk about it, but he knows a lot of the same stuff everyone knows and stuff's been reported. Like, do you find someone that's accused him of stuff? Like, is there a bombshell in that regard that says on the record, hey, this is what Vince was like?
Get Linda to sit down?
I mean, that's what I want.
Yeah.
That's what I want. That's what I mean.
I mean, that's the person that would be the juiciest thing they could have.
Right.
I mean, if you have somebody who's accused him of something or even hasn't accused him, and this is going to be a fresh accusation that comes out within the documentary, outside of that, yeah, Linda's got to know where the bodies are buried, right?
Absolutely. Shane, Stephanie. That's what I want. But see, if it's not going to be part of that, then it's going to be really like Dark Side of the Ring, guys.
Right.
It's going to be like I could see it now. They talk about the WWE from the beginning. Vince talks about it. Probably they film him in the office, how hard he works, all this kind of other stuff. And then it's going to feel like a total 180 after they're done with the Vince stuff. A total 180. Like, here is Rita Chatterton going to be part of this? The referee that was allegedly sexually abused in the WWE? Like, I don't know.
What about any of the Endeavor people? I feel like they've been pretty vocal about how, like, pushing Vince out and saying, he's no good for the company. Like, would any? I mean,
that would have to be something that they add on, right? Like, that would be something that maybe they get those interviews, maybe they don't. But I'm guessing that they don't if Meltzer's saying that this thing's going to be coming out sooner than we think.
See, if you don't have anything really juicy at the, as far as what's happening now in the current day in WWE and with Vince McMahon, it starts to feel like the Montreal screw job. It does, because we've heard that time and time again about Montreal and Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. I don't want to hear that again.
Right.
Like, I need to get new information.
Well, to that point, I feel like that might tie into why you want to just get it out. Like, I assume this documentary was dead, but if they're not going to add anything new, but they're going to add on a little bit to acknowledge, like, hey, Vince was sort of pushed out the door, as opposed to the happy ending of like, oh yeah, Vince runs this multi-million-dollar company, and then you put text on the end. You just put it out now, and then you ensure nothing new is coming out, and you're not missing anything in that regard.
Yeah, it just seems like there's we already know so much, right? Like, and I mean, going through, I mean, maybe there are some details of when he resigned and then kind of came back into the fold. I mean, maybe you get a couple of office people within WWE that can talk on that and sprinkle in a detail or two, but I think all of us have kind of figured out, again, unless you have Stephanie there talking about why she decided to resign when her dad stepped back in, like, I doubt we're in. Look, I think that Stephanie and her dad, clearly, based on her actions of wanting to separate herself from the company, since a lot of these accusations have really come forward over the last couple of years, like, I'm guessing her and her dad obviously do not see eye to eye on a lot of these things. But I also have a hard time believing she would ever actually sit down in front of a camera and blast her father.
Right. Like, I don't remember the timeline fully, but weren't there board members that got ousted that Vince then brought back to give him numbers? Like, had they been pushed back out? Like, would they be someone willing to talk and bury him a little bit?
I would say those that were let go would be willing to talk. And we have to go back to that list of WWE employees and former wrestlers that were let go at another layoff situation. I think that they would be willing to talk. I think they would. But then you got to be careful of that, especially if you're a performer, because you're like, okay, I said this about Vince on the record. Maybe Triple H won't let me back in. I mean, that's all part of the business in that regard, right? If you want to go back to the WWE, you're not supposed to speak of, ill of the WWE. I don't know, guys. I just think that I'm just going to make the prediction. I don't expect a lot from the family talking about the Vince scandal, but I do expect people around it that used to be executives or close writers. They'll say something about it because they were close up and personal with Vince, all the time for Raw and SmackDown and pay-per-view meetings. That's what I expect.
And to your point about the wrestlers, it would have to be someone older that has no dreams, like a Bret Hart. Like, Bret would go there and crap on him, and also, rip Bill Goldberg, because that's what Bret Hart does. Like, someone of like that you can work in there.
Shout out to Bill's kid going to Colorado, by the way.
God,
but I mean, the people that I want to hear speak, who actually probably would, and I bet in a different world would have things like, I would love to hear Hunter speak on this.
Yep.
Because like Vince blamed him with NXT. Like, he had taken him off of NXT, and it looked like Hunter was on his way out until everything else happened, and then he really took over creative on the main roster. I think Stephanie and Shane certainly would have things to say, but I have a hard time imagining the McMahon family publicly speaking anything ill against Vince McMahon.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as far as we know, and I don't think anything's changed, because if it did, we would know about it. That's still his father-in-law.
Right.
They're still breaking bread at the holidays.
Yeah.
I mean,
doesn't want to make Thanksgiving doesn't want to make that awkward.
Yeah, that's still grandpa to the kids.
What do you think Vince is doing lately besides his girlfriend? What do you think he's doing? What do you think he's doing lately?
Thanks for that mental image. Didn't really need that one, but hey, okay.
Did you not see him on TMZ? Did you not see him with his girlfriend?
Hey, look, again, what you said, is it wrong? No, I'm just saying I could have gone without the, the visualization of it with the way that you worded the question.
I did not. I didn't give you pictures. I don't have any pictures of that on my phone.
Yeah.
Goddamn! Look at me.
Yeah, he probably does.
Genetic jackhammer. Then from there, oh my. What a maneuver.
I don't know what he's doing, because he has been like pushed to the outside. I have no idea.
Been awesome if you just would have showed up in AEW.
God,
just show up. Seriously, I was expecting Shane to do that, but could you imagine? Because as we've documented on the show, what is Vince without wrestling? Without being in charge, without being a CEO, he's got billions of dollars. I'm sure he's in Tampa someplace enjoying his life, but really miserable because he ain't working.
Well, I mean, is Shane healthy enough to even walk at this point? I mean, last time we saw him, he blew out his quad. I don't know how long it takes to recover.
It becomes cartoonish after a while. I say put him back in there so he can hurt himself again.
Yes or no? Do we see Shane McMahon at the Royal Rumble?
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shane, yes. And
We have to have Snoop on standby because Snoop cleans it up.
That's right. One of those most bizarre things I've ever seen. God.
What a WrestleMania moment. So good. What do we got at number 3, Brian?
All right, speaking of WrestleMania, we said a promo Monday night. Becky Lynch telling Rhea Ripley that Rhea is better than her. What's the women's match you want featured at WrestleMania?
Whew. I think those two talked me into that one being the one I want to see the most. Like, almost, and it would be nice symmetry for Rhea of having the match she had with Charlotte last year going over, and then if she goes over Becky once again, kind of taking care of, the two of their generation that had really separated themselves as the best that the WWE had to offer. I think that would be a really good story for Rhea Ripley. Now, it would also make her look pretty unstoppable, kind of like what we've seen with Roman Reigns. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing because she's still on television each and every week. Although they've done so many stutter starts with it. I do still want to see Bayley versus Io, man. Like, I want to see Bayley fighting for a championship. I want to see her get ousted from the group she started, and I want to see her fighting for a championship at WrestleMania. I think they planted some brilliant seeds on Monday night on Raw, and I'm starting to feel and starting to root for Bayley over on the SmackDown side of things.
Also, to throw out there, came out today, PWI like end of year awards voted on by their fans. Rhea versus Charlotte for Mania voted match of the year, not women's match of the year, but match of the year.
That is strong. That's really strong.
Yeah,
I like that. Well, you just laid it out, Gabe. I mean, Bayley turning babyface against Io Sky. She's not part of Damage Control anymore. Becky Lynch against Rhea Ripley is a match that I think that we are going to see. How far can they stretch this out, though? I mean, what are you, AEW? You're going to stretch this out for another, 2 months before you get there?
Well, my guess, so I think you would have to do, but it's got to come together so quickly if Bayley ends up winning, because Bayley keeps saying how she was going to challenge Rhea Ripley and everybody was going to. So if Bayley wins the Rumble, then you have Becky win the Elimination Chamber down at Perth.
I suppose so. But I think that when you ask that question, bro, it's when you put that out there, it shows you that there is not a lack of depth, but a lack of planning with the women's division. We talk about the WWE and try to figure out like where Drew McIntyre fits, but that's actually a good thing because there's CM Punk and then there's Senior Money in the Bank, with Damian Priest, and you got all these guys, these singles guys that are going for either Roman's title or going for the championship for Seth Rollins. What about the women?
Right.
Little light, and this is not because of Charlotte's injury. A little light as far as serious contenders for the women's championships. Or am I looking at this wrong? Because I'm looking at the roster and I'm saying, well, are those the two matches that we can get? Is those the best two we can get for WrestleMania?
Yeah, I feel like the only person mentioned that could also be not mentioned is Bianca. But there's really no one else that you can throw in there and say, yeah, this should be a prominent match at Mania on the women's side.
Yeah, and Bianca's become kind of like the forgotten woman over on SmackDown.
I only would mention her because of her past success. Like her in a big match at Mania wouldn't be surprising.
Man, the question is, what do you do with Bianca if she's not fighting for one of the championships at Mania?
Yeah, she might be the odd one out at this point. I mean, even the Becky Rhea thing, as good as Monday was, like it felt out of the blue.
Yeah, well, because Becky just lost to Nia Jax not that long ago. Which, where's Nia Jax? I have no idea. But yeah, I mean, so that did kind of come out of the blue. It seemed like they were kind of building something else for Becky, and then just threw her back into the deep end. But you don't need to, because she's one of we were talking about Hall of Fame. I mean, she's first ballot Hall of Fame, for WWE with everything that she's done. So you never need to heat her up that much. You can always just throw her out there, and yeah, everyone's gonna go, yep, Becky, man versus mommy, yeah. Start printing the T-shirts.
Is there any chance, we've talked a lot about Perth, and I don't know if we're going to see Roman there, could that main event Elimination Chamber? Rhea Becky there?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Ooh.
Well, she's from there. Why not?
Yeah.
There's nothing hotter than that if you can't get a world title match out of that. Nothing hotter than that.
They go that route.
that's Roman's not on the schedule for Perth.
Right.
Okay.
So
They asked.
So, yeah.
They asked. So
Somehow it's more likely that they get The Rock than Roman. I don't get it, but but I mean that could, especially as over as she is. I mean that would be. God, I would hate to be the match that followed that unless it happened to be a chamber match
Sure.
that would main event. But if her in the main event makes a ton of sense. I mean, they didn't put it was a crime last year that they didn't put Bad Bunny in the main event in Puerto Rico. Right? That was a crime. He should have been in the main event. This kind of feels similar to me. She's so over, and she is. I mean, she's your biggest women's champion that you have, and she's from there. Yeah, put her in the main event. People there were going to eat it up, and when you're watching at home, you're going to be able to feel that energy.
I feel like that could main event Elimination Chamber. Bianca wins the Rumble. She then challenges Rhea. You do Rhea Bianca. Bayley doesn't win the Rumble. She starts freaking out that her plan's not going, so she goes in the Chamber, wins the Chamber, and then you set up her and Io that way.
But then what do you do with Becky at Mania?
Right, then Becky's sort of the odd one out.
Yeah, because, I mean, you need something for Becky Lynch.
Right, like you have 5 prominent women right now, unless something ends up being a 3-way.
I like the idea that you had earlier. You glazed over it, but it was a gem of an idea. If Bianca Belair is not going to be in the title picture, her against Nia works for me. That's power and strength. I have no problem with that. Or is Jade Cargill ready?
She's still
doing? She there because actually everybody I think in WWE land wants to see Jade against Bianca.
Yeah, I would imagine that would be.
She ready?
It depends upon how. Yeah, if she's ready or not, and if she's ready, then she debuts at the Rumble. You can do something where Jade surprisingly throws out Bianca, and you can set up that whole thing, and that's where their story starts. That's certainly a direction you could go.
But is that fair to them to be on the same night as either of these other women's matches? If it's Rhea Beckley and Io Bayley, we know those matches are going to deliver.
Yeah. Oh, that's another question. Is Cargill going to be at the Rumble? I bet she will.
I think so.
If she's not at the Rumble, like I start questioning whether or not we ever see her on WWE TV. Like, being in the Royal Rumble is like the safest debut match you can have. You're not having a one-on-one 12-minute match. Like you can go in the corner and rest for a while. You can do whatever. I mean, you can get lost with all the other bodies that are in there. If you can't debut at the Royal Rumble, I don't know what we're doing.
That's true. If we don't see Jade Cargill at the Rumble, oh man, she needs a lot of work. If she can't just move around and just be pushed in the corner and flex, that's all she has to do is just throw people out, flex, and just kind of sit in the corner for a while. If she's not in there for that, holy smokes!
I'm good with that.
Yeah, that's not good. I just want to know if she's ready because I think people, from a television standpoint, think Bianca, Jade. Oh, that looks good in the ring, but is Jade ready? That's the thing. I don't know.
I think Bianca could probably carry her to a decent enough match.
Yeah.
Who trained you? Well, sorry. We need to break you down and start all over again because this ain't working. I could see that might be the issue because I haven't heard anything about her in Orlando. Zero.
I mean, when did she sign? August?
Yep. This summer,
August
right?
that she showed? Yeah, it was. Yeah, so, I mean, 6 months should be enough.
And she was on TV all the time. They made such a big deal about it. And then it's like, all right, forget about it.
Yeah, well, you know what happened? The bell rang.
Yeah.
But she was on the way though because her last match against Statlander was fantastic. It was her best match in AEW.
She was signed, by the way.
Yeah,
September.
Yeah.
Okay, but again, and that's I guess why I have hope that. I mean, I would say that in ring, I think Bianca could do a better job carrying than even Statlander can, and Statlander's pretty good in the ring.
Yeah. So, but going back to the point, guys, I think that. It's nothing with the division. I just feel like I don't see the matchups I want to see. Is that fair? I think it is.
Stuff there. I think a face Bayley, like getting the wavy arm guys back at Mania, like that and Io should be good. And yeah, like Rhea Becky, again, it was just thrown out of the blue Monday, but those two will come through.
That was a hell of a promo, though.
Yeah.
The circling promo was good. It was good, wasn't it? The way she did it.
Well, and Becky, I mean, God, Becky's just so good on the mic, and the way she like set up everything, delivered it, said, "I think you might be better than me, but I got to prove that you're not." Like,
right.
I just, all right, I'm sold. You got me.
Like I almost when I saw her come out, I was like, "Oh, here we go, more Nia Jax stuff." Like I was about to hit fast forward, and then like the way it started, like, "Oh, we're going a different route here," and like I'm glad I stuck around for it.
It was good. I don't know how many more matches Becky has in her, but she's on her way to Hollywood. That accent is getting more and more American every time I hear her. I'm like, wow, it's almost gone. The Irish accent that she's had. Notice the way she speaks now. I'm like, she's on her way to Hollywood. You could tell.
Yeah. What do we got this week in news and notes, Brian?
All right, we alluded to it a little bit earlier in terms of the WWE World Champion Seth Rollins reports that the leg injury he suffered on Monday was legit. Says he was walking around on his own backstage but couldn't put weight on it. They still are waiting on further results.
Yeah, I wasn't able quite to tell when it happened. He kind of grabbed his knee earlier in the match, and then at the end, I was trying to pay attention. I don't know if his like plant leg when he went for the stomp, it was in the vicinity. I don't know if it actually landed on the hand of Jinder, and then he was grabbing the knee right before he went for the pin again. So
there also
hopefully
was like
it's nothing long term
type thing where like his knee hit, but like that might have seemed like just to be on the knee sort of thing, like not internal.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna get the title off of him at Rumble.
Well, they don't have anything set up for him at Rumble.
Right.
Or you think they should? I mean, if he's injured, should they find something for him? I mean, look, we know that the championship's coming off of him. We just need to know, is it CM Punk or who is it?
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, if he's proven that he wants to be out there and fighting when he can, and if it's not an internal injury and it's just, some external bruising or something. But again, with somebody who's had the history of knee injuries, you just kind of hold your breath until you hear any sort of definitive news, whether or not the knee's structurally sound after the MRI, which I know he was scheduled to have. Haven't heard, Meltzer or anyone like that break the news of what those results were. But you kind of hold your breath until you hear those results.
Right, especially because the Rumble, we know Roman's defending, so I feel like you can get away with only one world title defended because, well, they do that every premium live event at this point.
Yes.
Like, can they just keep kicking it down the line and hope he's fine for Mania to get him and Punk?
I think you can, sure, because that's the matchup that we want to see. Apparently, Punk would be coming out on top as a victor in that one.
Yep.
It all started with Punk coming to Chicago and going back and forth with Seth Rollins. So, yeah, I'd like to see that match, sure.
So, yeah,
speaking of Roman Reigns, Dave Meltzer reporting Roman currently scheduled only to work the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, Saudi Arabia, and SummerSlam. Those are 4 shows that does not include the Elimination Chamber in Perth or Backlash in France.
But The Rock wants him. I mean, The Rock they wanted that match, and so maybe they can only afford one. I kept reading and how they were going to put all the money in the middle of the table for Rock against Roman, and that's not happening now.
Mania.
I mean, again,
you're not getting in Perth. Like, sorry, Cody.
Yeah, if it's happening, it's happening at Mania. Again, that's and you can't get. I mean, maybe you get Rock down there challenging, and you get a Paul Heyman talking side. I don't know, but you can't put Rock in the Elimination Chamber. I know that. Like that I'm damn sure of. You're not putting Rock in the Elimination Chamber in order to have him go over and then go face Roman. I mean, do we see Rock in 9 days
at the Rumble the Rumble?
Does he win the Rumble
at number 30 or 1?
30.
Number 1.
You smell.
He does not have that in him. Are you kidding me?
I'd love to see it.
You saw how gassed he was from the people's elbow, and you want him out there for an hour plus?
I would. if I knew right now Rock was entering at number 1, I'm
Yes.
flying down. I'm hanging out with Browitz. I need to see The Rock go the distance in person in 2024 because he's tapping out at some point.
Yes.
I would belly laugh if I heard If You Smell at 1. Oh my God, what year is it? Hell, he wouldn't do that in 98. He would no way he's doing it in 24. Are you kidding me? My God. Oh, I would belly laugh. Like, what is he doing? 1. Oh,
You let
that'd be
Roman
so good.
win, and then he comes out after and like issues a challenge. They do a stare down, and there you go. You're set for Mania.
Yeah, I mean, because again, like somebody else winning the Rumble means so much more. He's The Rock. He can show up and literally do whatever he wants.
Yep.
This is why Seth Rollins is my WWE champion. I mean, already the schedule's out there. You don't see Roman enough. This is ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. And he's not going to break San Martino's record. He's just not. They're trying to get there, but he's not breaking San Martino's record. So you're not going to do any house shows. You only do a few PLEs. I mean, if you're Roman, it's not. I can understand if Roman had movies.
Right.
He's just chilling. He's just watching the show.
Hogan's record, and then you call it a day.
I mean,
How far away are we from that? Yeah.
I don't know.
He's had enough.
In fairness, he's had enough for like a year and a half.
Yeah,
at this point.
yes, agreed.
He still has it down here on the bottom, just in case. Are we tired of Roman yet?
Sure always got to be ready. You never know when that might come up.
Yes, I know that he has it ready there in the graphics on YouTube. There it is. Are we tired of Roman yet? I'm tired of him only wrestling a few times. I mean, call Roman Reigns on the phone isn't enough.
This is
right.
This is less than I feel that Brock. Yeah, and again, he's got it ready to go at all times. This is like less than what Brock Lesnar was wrestling when he was the part-time champ,
which is crazy.
The bloodline is not a thing. It kind of is not anymore.
September, by the way, is when he would pass Hogan. So he keeps it through SummerSlam. And he'll lose it at Rumble 25 because he's not going to work again after SummerSlam.
Yeah, I was about to say, good luck with getting him to show up after that.
So Cody doesn't finish the story.
So Cody's got to win. No, here's Cody's got to win Money in the Bank, and he's got to go to Roman's house.
Excuse me, sir.
He's got to bring a rep with him,
bring a rep with him. They're getting out of the cab, knock on the door.
Boom. All of a sudden it becomes an Ace Steel bit. It becomes an Ace Steel cartoon all of a sudden. Those things
Does Roman have a dog? Can we confirm that?
Yes, I believe he does.
Okay.
A big dog.
Okay.
How about that? There we go.
Oh, I see what you did there. All right.
Elsewhere in news and notes, Paul Walter Hauser, you might remember him from AEW and taking a Jeff Jarrett guitar shot. Well, he won an Emmy on Monday, and during it, name drop Matt Cardona, Ibushi, and a Get the Tables line as part of his acceptance speech. In case you're interested, in March, Wrestling Revolver, it'll be him versus Matt Cardona in Clive, Iowa.
I mean, I imagine that you're buying the pay-per-view. You've already ordered it on Fight. I'm sure you're ready to go.
Emmy winner, friend of the show, Matt Cardona. I mean, come on. Why not?
I love how much he loves wrestling. And he is an unabashed wrestling lover. Like you mentioned, he showed up in AEW. That was when he won his Golden Globe.
Yes.
I'm assuming, I think it was for the same role in Blackbird, which he was fantastic in, by the way. He was tremendous in. So him winning the Emmy, and then he's just like, I don't know what he's eating. Like he's casually eating something, like he's Carlito or something on his way up to the acceptance. And then he just pulls out, had the entire acceptance speech on the phone. It was like I don't know if it was like a freestyle, like rap, or I don't know. It rhymed. I don't want to call it poetry, but I thought it was fantastic.
That I don't know what that did for AEW, but that did something for all of us wrestling fans. Right?
Yes.
Because usually these things go the way of the WWE. Like, they mentioned us, WWE. That's great, right? I don't know if it did anything for AEW, but it did something for, I guess, if people didn't know, he's a wrestling fan. Yeah. And it's cool that he was able to mention a few guys, and they did something for the business. That's good.
Yeah. And I think for him, like, he's one of those guys now, if you're looking like, oh, I know that guy. He's a wrestling fan. Like, I'll turn this on. I'll watch this movie. I'll watch this show because he's one of us.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
Of us. One of us.
Finally, speaking of indies, Nick Nemeth, who's made appearances at New Japan and TNA this past week, in an interview says we'll see him bouncing around the indies as well. He'll be doing stuff he couldn't do for the last 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's not shocking. I mean, we see a lot of guys kind of going that route, whether it's AEW or TNA, where they have a little bit more of that flexibility to kind of bounce around. Clearly, he'll call TNA home. Like, would I be shocked if he showed up for a match or two in AEW? No, I would not be shocked by that, given the working relationship we've seen in the past with TNA and AEW. So good for him. And I think he's going to be able to do some good money because that guy, he can go.
It's unfortunate his time in WWE, and I know he'd be laughing if he watches. He goes, he'd probably say, how much money did I make in WWE? I'm fine. However, we as wrestling fans know that there was more to give to Dolph Ziggler. You can get to a point in this business, it was so strange, that you're so smooth and so good that you could put anybody over. You don't have to be put and so I think you guys stuck in that box of, you know what, you're so good, you can put anybody over. And I just think that he deserved multiple championship reigns, more main event status. And I don't know what happened behind the scenes with Vince or John Cena or whatever, but I just think that he shouldn't have been in the mud all those years. He'll say, I made a lot of money, I traveled the world and all that stuff, but he deserved more. And now he's going to get his flowers to be able to go to the independents. This will not be such a stretch like it was, say, for Trinity, Naomi, for instance, right? In the WWE system, from the beginning, and now you go from 20,000 people to 1,000 people, if that, in some places, and then you got to set up your own merch table. That's tough, right? That's the adjustment that you got to be able to take care of your business, not the WWE machine. But for Nick Nemeth, I think that he's going to be just fine. He's going to be someone to watch in TNA. It was crazy, right? Alex Shelley loses the TNA championship to Moose. They're going to roll it back with Moose again, by the way. So Moose is the TNA champion, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here comes Nick Nemeth, and it's kind of like, wow. And not only is he here, but he tears off his one shirt and he shows the TNA shirt. And I'm like, this guy's in TNA. That's only great for them. That's for sure.
You're the TNA guy. You put the world title on him?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
At some point, you let Nemeth chase Moose. I know it sounds crazy, but it is them chasing Moose for the championship. And so I think in 2024, depending on how long the deal is, by the way, is he independent or is he actually locked in with TNA? Right. If it's a year, tough. But if it's a little bit longer, hey, get some money out of it. Go back and forth a little bit. Put it on the road and then give Nemeth an opportunity to run with the championship.
I will say, I mean, first I have to find access, but like between him and other stuff, like I'm sort of intrigued to flip on TNA tonight.
I do not have it. Well, I have it. Sure? I know where it is. I have to pay extra for it. I'm not paying extra just for access, just for TNA.
All right, that's fair.
Really, that's an extra tier.
That's an extra tier for Spectrum here in Milwaukee. Yeah.
They also signed the Ash by Elegance, formerly known as Dana Brooke. She's also part of TNA now.
Odd, because they put her up on the screen and I could not recognize her with those new veneers. I didn't recognize her. Like the hair and everything else. I'm like, who's Ash by what?
Yeah, I don't quite get the name.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the name. I'm hopeful that she can have a little bit of a resurgence. I thought a couple of times she'd put on some pretty decent matches, but just never, for whatever reason, could gain that traction in WWE. I think she might have a chance if she's given a little bit of time in TNA.
Zaya Brookside also. Yeah.
Yeah. Stuff tonight. Nemeth cuts a promo, which obviously will be good. Josh Alexander versus Ospreay. Yes. Just one of those matches where they just throw guys in the ring and off they go. Kushida, Trey Miguel, Vikingo, Mike Bailey for the 6 in that match. So that'll probably be good. And Grizzled Young Vets take on Eric Young and Kazarian. So it seems like a good show.
That's a good show. That's a good show. Well, we haven't got to match of the week, but I'll just say that's good for them. It felt like a different company, and where have we said that before about TNA?
Right.
It felt different watching the show on Saturday. And by the way, guys, did I watch a lot of wrestling on Saturday?
Oh boy.
Oh, did I watch a lot of wrestling on Saturday? Holy shit!
All right, let's just go ahead and dive into it then, Jay Hood. What were your matches of the week?
The dog agrees.
No, there were no dogs or matches on Saturday. No, absolutely not. Okay, because we don't have a lot of time. I could go on an hour, but let me just tell you, there's nothing like on a Saturday, AEW Dynamite, Battle of the Belts, New Japan Battle in the Valley in San Jose, and of course TNA Hard to Kill from Vegas. That was my Saturday night, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of my marriage.
If the background looks a little bit differently next week for Jay Hood, we're going to know why.
Cold white wall behind me. So someplace. Unbelievable. The best match on Impact or for
how did
TNA.
that go over, by the way? Your wife came up to you and went, honey, let's go out for dinner. Sorry, dear. TNA's on. Gotta watch Hard to Kill.
Well, the day starts with UIC versus Bradley in the afternoon. Okay, yep. It starts with that. Call that game. Come home. So what are we doing today? Wrestling. So now I'm just done all day.
How do you feel about Moose versus Alex Shelley?
Was she not excited for Battle of the Belts 9? It's a historic show.
9 o'clock or she's already in bed. Already too late. 9 o'clock Central. So long, everybody. She was done. The best match on Hard to Kill was Josh Alexander against Alexander Hammerstone. Hammerstone leaves MLW, comes over as a free agent. It's Josh Alexander. Of course, it was a great match. To me, that was the best match I saw. Hard-hitting, amazing match. 2 matches that were great for New Japan. The same New Japan Battle in the Valley, in which all of a sudden I'm watching like, oh, another match. Let's watch it. Wait a minute. What in the hell is Jack Perry doing here? Jack Perry out of nowhere with the long hair and the beard. He's no longer Jungle Boy. He's Jungle Man. But we see and just like, what is he doing here? And he takes a contract for AEW and tears it up in the middle of the ring. It was out of nowhere. Like, what is he doing here? Like, we've been waiting for him for a long time. Tears up the championship, puts on an armband that says scapegoat on it. I'm like, that blew my mind. I'm like, out of all the things that woke me up on a Saturday, like, whoa, what is this now? Right?
And also the report that was one of those spots that like they didn't alert security about. So to them, it was just some rando running in the ring, and they're like, no, it's okay. So.
Oh my God. So that was crazy. Okada against Ospreay.
Oh,
no
really?
bleep.
That was good. Oh,
yeah.
that was a good match.
But a close second was Julia, and we have to be able to watch more of her because she's on her way to WWE. Julia against Trish Adora actually was my favorite match next to Okada Ospreay, which I expected. So keep her eyes on Julia because her English is getting better, and she had a banger against Trish Adora. Kaiser versus Woods was a sleeper. I had no idea that was going to be that good on Raw. That was a hell of a match on Raw.
Yeah.
I loved the aggression that Woods had. Ended up just the visual with him with the busted mouth at the end was a very good visual.
The match from Raw I throw out there is a tag match: DIY versus
DIY.
Dom and JD McDonough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we know DIY can go, but we continue to talk about the improvement of Dom, obviously as a character, but just in the ring also. Like, he could have very easily been lost in that match among those 4 wrestlers. But that match delivered. That was exciting to see. I loved Joe versus Hook last night. And the 6-man from Collision on Saturday, FDR and Daniel Garcia versus House of Black.
Oh, man, yes.
Yeah, that was good. But you know what was also good from Collision on Saturday night? Especially for 2 dudes who are 50 and older? Christian versus Dustin was like, didn't expect that to be like as good as it ended up being. Like, that was really good. They gave Dustin some time there with Christian, and I thought they told a pretty fun story. So I had that on my list. One
thing I'll throw out in terms of Christian last night, like, awesome job with the Briscoe segment and everything they did. Was I the only one a little worried we were going to see a Christian appearance as they're doing all this sentimental
because
stuff?
because the kids don't have their dad?
Yeah, I feel bad thinking it, but I was like, oh no, like, please don't. Like, let's just enjoy the moment.
Even AEW has a line.
Okay. That being said, you would have popped.
Oh, the heat he would have gotten. God, the heat. It would have.
I mean, I think Christian should go after Taz, actually, because Taz stood his ass out there to see his son get his ass whooped. Right. You don't have much of a father to get beat down like that, Taz. horrible
Thank
father.
Man, I didn't even think about that watching that with the Briscoe kids. But now I'm just imagining like the countdown starting as they're right there and the crowd going,
God. Yes. And that crowd in South Carolina was already hot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So could you imagine just like even that has to have a line. Even tragedy must have to have a line at the very least, right? So guys, just a quick review. TNA did a really good job at the Palms in Las Vegas. It was sold out, and I love unique venues. It was a unique venue. Same venue, by the way, that Bailey and Mercedes was there in a skybox watching.
Mm-hmm.
They were there together on Saturday. I'm like, and they were, they didn't put them on camera, but fans saw them with their sunglasses, dark outfits.
Well,
yeah, but
they took a bunch of pictures with some wrestlers backstage after the show because they were there to support Trinity.
Yeah.
And they took some pictures backstage. So I mean, obviously those two were always super close, and I don't know. It's good to see them that they're still close enough where they can just show up in Vegas and go support their other friend.
Again, this doesn't happen under Vince. The idea that Bailey is there on a Saturday at a TNA show, it doesn't happen. Does not happen.
Remember, she went to the New Japan show when Mercedes was there. Like, she's just a fan, also.
I mean, yeah, that just doesn't happen. It's so cool to see it though. But I think that TNA did a really good job. I give them credit. They did a nice job. They got a lot of corporate partners. They mentioned that a lot too. So I feel like it's new. And by the way, they're going with Moose as heavyweight champion.
That is not new.
So anyway,
what's old is new again.
New Japan, another good show. John Moxley had a good match. I think that you really enjoy that, Gabe, as a Moxley mark. You would have loved that match. Semi-main for that. I thought it was a really good card. And guys, I've got my tickets for April at Wintrust. New Japan's going to be here at Wintrust Arena, in Chicago. So I will be there. Gabe, you'll be there as well. I have 2 tickets.
All right. Well, it looks like we're going then. Hey,
I got 2 tickets. So if you'd like to be able to join me, go right ahead.
Oh yeah, I mean that's seeing a New Japan show. I've watched that one because they were 2 years ago. I think they were in Chicago for like the Windy. I think they called it the same thing.
Windy City Riot.
In the Windy City Riot. So I would love to be able to go this time around. That'd be fantastic.
If you're available, I do have an extra ticket because I need an extra ticket. So it'll be. I think it's interesting times, guys. Interesting times. Now the Indies starting to heat up. Matt Cardona is going to take on Nick Nemeth at some point. Yep. Oh boy.
Nick Gage very confused by the WWF guy being on that GCW card.
I saw that. He called me WWF guy.
He called us the WWF.
We as a show saw Nick Gage, by the way, at StarCast, and of course, Browitz is always trying to tempt fate. Hey guys, you think we should talk to him? No, I don't think so. He's got a pizza cutter in his hand. I don't think we should talk to him. No.
So Gage retweeted the promo announcement February 3rd, Nemeth versus Cardona on GCW. He said, "What the F? Isn't that dude on WWF?"
WWF.
Gotta get the F out.
That's right.
He's saying, "What's this soft guy doing in our company?" That's what he's saying. It's WWF soft guy. That's what he's saying.
I'm sure that match will deliver.
Oh, yeah. I'm very confident that match will indeed deliver. And I can guarantee that we will deliver next week here, Thursday, GKW. Of course, don't forget to comment, subscribe to YouTube, youtube.com/@GoodKarmaWrestling. If you just listen to this, wherever you get your podcast, you can also check us out on video on our YouTube page. Always appreciate it. I mean, next week, it's the go-home show for the Royal Rumble, my favorite event of the year. Can't wait to talk about it. We'll break it all down right here.